In these perilous times, many Americans are sacrificing their personal freedoms for the common good. Tonight, 1 out of 3 Americans is under government orders to stay at home, and at least 17 states have ordered non-essential businesses to close. In some states, large gatherings are altogether banned. But how far can the government go in taking away our civil liberties? And could we see here in the United States more extreme restrictions like those in China and parts of Europe? Our Maggie Ruley has that story.
For a few days now, Americans have seen surreal scenes play out in their backyards. Entire cities on lockdown. The Navy and National Guard deployed. Flights canceled, borders tightened.
Not within most people's lifetime. Has there been anything similar to this?
As COVID-19 rips around the world, America finds itself having to make startling decisions.
Public health disaster.
Normal is not in our game plan.
Stay home
and maintain social distancing.
In times like these, even our civil liberties, the bedrock of our Constitution, can be restricted as we potentially enter uncharted legal waters.
Liberties are being tested. What is really important, even in times such as this, that governments not go overboard. And that's the real test.
When China was first hit with the new coronavirus back in December, its totalitarian government responded with regional crackdowns. We watched as populated cities went dark and saw the consequences when people disobeyed orders. At the time, it felt like their policies could never be implemented here. China is a communist country. America is a democracy. But China's quarantine measures seem to have worked for now. The reported number of domestic cases is down to nearly 0. But now that the U.S. is facing a daily surge of new cases, governments are imposing rules that are changing the day-to-day lives of Americans.
Be a good neighbor, be a good citizen. Those young people that are still out there on the beaches thinking this is a party, time to grow up. Time to wake up.
Ordering non-essential businesses to close their doors, shuttering schools, leaving many families to wonder how they're going to make ends meet.
What about the little guy?
It's a fine line officials are treading as they jeopardize many people's livelihoods. So what are the laws during a pandemic? The states have broad powers to quarantine and ban large gatherings. And President Trump can completely close the U.S. border, but his power to quarantine has limits. And when he declared a national emergency under the Stafford Act, it just gives him the power to redirect federal funds and resources. It was not a call for martial law. But it's easy to see how people can be alarmed. We saw Europe close its borders. Major cities are completely shutting down, something that hasn't happened since World War II. In some countries, people have been fined just for being outside.
Nous sommes en guerre.
And countries are increasingly using technology to keep close tabs on their citizens' movements. In South Korea, officials used surveillance and credit card data to track down those infected. And in Italy and Israel, governments are following potential patients using their cell data.
There have been times across history where the government has quickly turned to health as being its wedge issues in order to carry out what would otherwise be a political agenda.
But in the U.S., we might see pushback against too many restrictions on civil liberties, and it could be up to individuals and the courts to keep the government in check.
That it's not unpatriotic to hold our government accountable. But we know there are times in which a state may overreach, and it's courts then that we turn to.
Maggie Ruley, ABC News, London.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.